So the fourth installment of the John Wick saga is directed by Chad Chaleski, a stunt performer turned stunt supervisor and now director. He has directed all four of the John Wick films. And this story sees John Wick, who is on a path to defeat the High Table. But before he can earn his freedom, Wick must face off against a new enemy with powerful alliances across the globe and forces that turn old friends into foes. John Wick Chapter 4 has been received so well over the last couple of days. On Letterboxd it has a 4.2, on IMDb 8.5, and even on Metacritic it's a 78 for an action film, the fourth one in a saga. That's a really high praise from the snobby critics, I guess like me over there. It comes in at a runtime of 169 minutes. Nice. And is produced by Lionsgate and over doubles the budget of the previous films. John Wick 1 was produced for 30 million, and then 2 and 3 for 40. This one is at a staggering $100 million, but you can really see everything put onto screen with these action scenes that last at the end close to like an hour without like anything breaking the action. And there's even another one that's like 30 minutes ongoing action. So really impressive work over there. Lachlan, the mayhem of John Wick as he unleashes his gun, firing them and blocking them, I guess, with his bulletproof suit. What did you make of the fourth installment of John Wick?
I thought it was absolutely wild. As I said earlier in this recording, I re-downloaded Twitter, and one of the first things I tweeted, other than our retweet of us going to Cannes, is that what John Wick 4 has done for action is what Top Gun Maverick did for flight scenes. It is glorious to see this action. If I could have one John Wick film set in the John Wick universe, right? Every 2 years, that will make up for all of the shitty CGI action scenes that I see in a good 80% of other films that we see each year. It is what you see on screen is phenomenal. I think that the biggest downside to the John Wick films is that story-wise, it's a bit like, okay, I see how this can link, but I don't know why he's still fighting. But I'm not going to a John Wick film to care about the most emotional plot points, the hard-hitting, I am Iron Man snaps. It's not that emotional.
Yeah.
But oh my god, is it tiring? And I think that is one of the coolest uses of action scenes in any film whatsoever, is that in the opening hour of this film, there's a good, like, I want to almost say, like 15 to 20 minute action scene.
I think it's like almost
starts
30
and stops.
30.
Almost 30 minutes.
Yeah, I
Starts
checked,
and then stops. You know what I'm talking about, right? Start in the
Osaka.
in a hotel, starts and stops, starts and stops, and you keep going, and you're getting physically tired watching this scene.
Yeah.
But so is John Wick. And you are as tired as what he is by the end of this scene with how much action there is. And that is a testament to the stunt coordinators, to Chad Zelensky, like his vision of this film. Shout out to the director of photography, what's his name? Dan Launceston. And I mean, did I say shout out to Keanu Reeves? Because shout out to Keanu Reeves. He's like 50 and he's like doing some... Yeah, and he's doing some
more
mad stunts
than ever, to be honest. He does it in like the opening, and so many years.
But like this film was just a lot of fun, and we talk about how going to the cinema, and I hate when Tom Cruise is right, but when you go to the cinema, it's an experience. It's a lot of fun when the person next to you who you've never met is also jolting when there's a hard punch, a tumble, a fall, a gunshot to the head that's come underneath the helmet that John Wick has like specifically done, and it's like blood splattering everywhere, that people around you are literally like, oh fuck, shit, go, like there is that experience that you get, and that is what made John Wick 4 even more exciting for me is
Hmm.
watching it in the cinema with a whole
Yeah.
bunch of people. It is so much fun to
Yeah.
watch and enjoy this film. And it is a great sequel. I felt like all of the John Wicks 2 and 3, the sequels, I guess I should say, felt like a good continuation, but
Yeah.
this felt very different. Like the other ones felt like a natural flow, but there was just something different about chapter 4 where it was just
Expanding.
expansive,
Yeah. Hmm.
but also at the same time still very at home. Nothing felt too over the top, where there's a lot
Yeah.
of things in John Wick that is very over the top.
Hmm.
I guess I don't want to get into any spoilers just right now, so
There's
I
no.
think I
Okay.
might
Okay.
hand back over to you for your
Yeah.
thoughts on John Wick. But I feel like a natural place to go for how over the top this is Donnie Yen's character Kane.
Yeah.
But I will talk about my progression with Kane once you're done with your thoughts on the film. So Ewan,
Yeah.
John Wick Chapter 4, hit me. What did you think?
So
Yes
I
or no?
came. So yes or no? Yes. I came out of the
Oh,
film
okay.
uh giving it a 6 out of 10. I've since gone up to a 7 out of 10. By the time of this review, I might bump it up to an 8 out of 10. I don't know if you can convince me because I'm impressionable at this point. To me, I didn't really like the all of the expansive stuff of the universe of like a lot of these moments that are slow played. If you watch the because I after this hadn't seen them before. Maybe I would have enjoyed the film a bit more if I seen 1, 2, 3, and then gone to see 4. But I've seen it a while ago, so it's um, not as great as some of the other ones to me because it focuses so much on like establishing these cool characters with a connection to John Wick, and I felt like the other ones had a more of a drive of survival or like getting past it. And here, I guess the flip is that he's more on the attack, or obviously has always been on revenge, but the revenge seems not as immediate and necessary because it's basically more about, I guess, his freedom at this point. And I want
Mm.
to see him fight for his dog. I want to see him fight for whatever fucked up thing he had to do. I forgot about like the marker thing in the second one. That's like they actually done after the first one, and that like
Mm.
reels him back in and escalates this whole plot. But I also didn't really like and I know he's an incredible martial artist. I didn't like the Donnie Yen character, if I'm being totally honest.
What?
Yeah, I felt like the blind thing was a gimmick they like overused in a sense of where it was like stretching my imagination with like the blocking of the bulletproof suits that and then like the action, I felt like John Wick is always so precise with like shooting and stuff. And here, especially in the face off between like two bigger characters, it was them shooting aimlessly at each other and just blocking all the shots, and that took away from the whole thing for me. But I mean, it's still an incredible spectacle for action and stunts. And the cinematography. So that's what I really enjoyed, and I feel like the more time that passes, I guess I value that part of it more, and I can just really let all of the screenplay stuff that bothers me, or even the stunt moments that I'm not really the biggest fan of, just go into the background a bit more and just like enjoy the spectacle that this movie is. And I don't know if there's been like anything up to this level. I think that's why, like you said, Top Gun Maverick groundbreaking thing for action films. I feel like this is similar because you got so many incredible stunt workers here. Because I kind of want to put them on screen right now and like see them roll past all of the people that were stunt people in this. Because like you got an incredible scene in Paris, especially all of the Osaka thing, that action scene. Those are the two big ones in the movie, and there's just so much really difficult action that they pull off. It is crazy
Mm.
the amount of moving things. Yeah, it really has elevated the action genre. But to me, I think part three is just like overall a bit more of a condensed thing. What did you think about the runtime? Did you think it was justified that you sit there for 3 hours? Did you enjoy the whole time you were there, or
Yeah, no, I did. I did fear the runtime going in.
yeah?
If you've listened to the podcast before, I'm a big Like, I think 90-minute films in and out are so much fun because you
Mhm.
get in and you get out and you enjoy your time. I do fear, especially with the previous 2 to 3 years, I would say actually, you know what? I'd say more in the last 12 months more than
Yeah,
anything.
it's crazy.
3-hour movies are becoming more common. Like
Yeah.
we had the Batman. What other big long films did we have? We had recently.
Babylon.
We had the Batman. Babylon was 3 hours.
Yeah. Fablemans.
Dune was
Dune, yeah.
2.5 a bit. Fablemans was no, Fablemans wasn't that long.
Was
Fablemans was
two and a
like
half. It was
two.
2.5. Tar was also 2.5. It's like on the longer side, but usually those character
Yeah.
pieces tend to be a bit longer. I think something came out about a movie that's coming out this year that's also the longest one that director has done. I don't know if it's The Killers of the
Wow.
Flower Moon. But yeah, it's going into a direction where we see a lot of
Yeah.
these longer films.
And you've got to fear being in the cinema that long, having to go to the toilet and miss something really cool, like good action. But
Yeah.
what I fear more is just wasted time, and I think that's one of the things I was taught very early on is that just cut shit you don't need,
Mhm.
and that's what I fear when you go into watching a 3-hour film is that there's going to be aspects that aren't needed. I don't feel that with John Wick because
Mhm.
the majority of this runtime is taken up by action scenes,
Mhm.
and that is very exciting and very fun. I don't think I at any point felt that it was too long. There have been other
Mhm.
3-hour films, and I think probably the best one, and I was the first example I gave was the Batman.
Mhm.
The Batman ends, and then it doesn't, and then it gets another ending. There's
Yeah.
definitely another end point. There's two ends to the Batman, and this doesn't have that. The ending is the ending, and that's the best part. It's just a continuous build up, a continuous climax. There's a low point, but then it does a big climax again.
Mhm.
But it doesn't feel like it ends at say, 95 minutes, where I feel
Yeah.
like the Batman ends at like, 100 minutes, and then there's another 40 minutes coming on to be like, wow, this is getting even longer. And like,
Yeah, it doesn't have the
it,
strongest ending as well, where I feel like John Wick Chapter 4, without getting, I guess, into specific spoilers just yet, does have a really conclusive ending,
yeah,
that feels,
I don't
yeah.
think so. I don't think so.
Okay. Oh,
But
you wanna get into it? Do we wanna get into
should
spoilers?
we
Yes.
spoiler it now? Let's
Yes.
let's put the
Final
spoiler
spoilers.
warning up
We did
and
one at the start of the review, but this is like your final warning for actual spoilers right now for the film. He dead. He's
he's
dead.
not dead.
He's dead.
He's not dead.
I hope he's
Nah,
dead. Put him to
I don't think he's
rest.
dead.
No? What do
I
you
don't think
think?
he's dead.
John Wick 5
I
starts
think he
with him like
passed out.
"Bleh." He's like John Wick 5 starts similar to this where instead of boxing a like boxing bag, he's punching like the up part of his coffin. And he comes out.
No,
Who would he go
I
after?
don't
Who's
think there's
left?
going to be a John Wick 5.
No,
There's
me
no John
neither.
Wick 5.
Hmm.
I just think that it was an ending that lets you, I mean, we're jumping straight to the ending, but I think it's just an ending that
Yeah.
lets you decide whether or not he's dead.
Hmm.
I'd like to think that he got out again and he's the only person who's ever gotten out from the high table and then gotten out again from the
Hmm.
high table. As much as I would love to see a John Wick 5, if they do one, I'll be pretty upset because I think that it's one of the better endings. What?
You know, Chad, what's his name? Chad Shaleski is also doing Ghost of Tsushima. He could die and then come back as a ghost
Yes.
of Tsushima.
He just comes back
Culturally
as a Ronin.
appropriated.
Oh gosh.
He comes
It's
back
not the
Asian.
first time Keanu Reeves has done that. Uh
Which, by the way, we're both really looking forward to that film and his adaptation. I think
oh
that's what
yeah.
he'll move on to next. He's not doing the spin-off with Ana de Armas Ballerina. That's also set between 3 and 4. So we might get to see John Wick, but it also might be like a Shazam situation where it's just Wonder Woman and you just see the back like of Keanu Reeves, just his hair. I don't know, maybe he's a more prominent person in
Mm.
that film, but I that's just her, I guess. I refamiliarized myself with Free, I guess, and basically she's the one on like up on the stage dancing, and then she gets interrupted and everyone gets killed, and I guess she gets away, and then she somehow is then Ana de Armas, which in that movie in that scene. Maybe it's a different ballerina. I don't know. Maybe that's like wrong information that's floating around at the moment. But she looked like a 16-year-old girl. So Ana de Armas goes from weirdly portraying Marilyn Monroe to, I guess, a 16-year-old that's killing people. It's gotta be interesting to see. But yeah. Okay, so we jumped straight to the end, Lachlan. We haven't really
Let's
talked about the characters
let's
yet. So let's talk about the
which is
characters,
what I
right?
want to get into because I want to talk about
Yes.
Donnie Yen for a second because
All right.
you said you
Mhm.
don't like him, and that makes me upset a
Yes.
little bit
Okay. Mhm.
because I'll be real with you, I also did not like him at the start. I
What?
so Donnie Yen
Mhm.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Uh, It Man is wicked, and it's kind of made me want to go back and rewatch that series, along
Mhm.
with the John Wick series. Maybe let's just go on an action binge next week. That'd be wicked.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not the first time I've seen Donnie Yen play a blind martial artist.
Mhm.
Rogue One, there he is, blind
Yeah.
martial artist. But he had the Force that time. He had a
Mhm.
reason that he could be able to do that kind of reflexes. Even though I said that this is an over the top world, that was one of the most hard to believe moments.
Mhm.
But it took a little bit because obviously he's blind, right? He's
Yeah.
blind. How the fuck is he going to take out some of these people?
Yeah.
And you don't learn how he goes blind for a little bit. So the entire time I'm thinking he's been blind since birth. He's
Mhm.
had this since birth. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's trained, but why would these group of people, because obviously early on you learn that John Wick, Donnie Yen Kane, and Sonanada's character, I can't remember what his name is
The
though.
Marquis.
Uh no, not no, that's Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, who? Who did you mean?
Hiroki
Ah,
Sanada.
yeah, yeah. Shimatsu. Shimatsu.
Shimatsu? Yeah. Shimatsu. Those three were like best friends. So I
Mhm.
was thinking, why would those two trust a blind guy and train him or something like that? So I was going along those lines. But
Mhm.
obviously you learn later on that he actually sacrificed his eyes to get out. Similar to
Yeah.
John Wick, he got out.
Mhm.
And that made me realize that he wasn't blind, so he was trained. And it made me more impressed because he is essentially just using his reflexes of what they would do.
Mhm.
Then you get that action scene in Osaka where he's putting those devices that make chimes. He's
Yeah.
adapted, he's learnt. And I was like, okay, maybe this is a bit more believable. And it started to realize that when you have that final up battle, up the staircase scene
Stairs. Yeah.
with John and him, that John is calling out people, hey,
Yeah.
at your six. Or like he says, stairs at your six, or do you want to
Mhm.
take 9 or 12? Well, he just says 9 or 12, and he says 9, I think. So he does 9 o'clock, he shoots 9 o'clock.
Mhm.
Or how he kind of now as a blind person shoots in a general direction and hopes that he hits something, but then he goes on with his blade. So
Yeah. Yeah.
slowly but surely, I started falling in love with the idea of this character, and I thought that it was going to be too over the top, but
Mhm.
I became more and more attached, and I thought this is a way cooler character that he doesn't want to be back in. Similar to
Yeah.
John, he doesn't want to be in this situation,
Mhm.
but he has to do it for a similar thing to
Yeah.
honor the memory of his daughter or to protect his daughter.
Mhm.
The best line of the film is at the end, when the Marquis says, "Think of your daughter," and he just goes, "Fuck off." Right? That like I think that was the funniest moment of the film. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't want to be fighting for these people, but he needs to in this situation.
Mhm.
And I started to respect the character more and more. And I think that it's gonna obviously become a spin-off character in this John Wick universe. With the
I don't
end
know.
credit scene we have at the end.
But it's the end credit scene where Akira is going after him.
Yeah. Like
I mean,
that's the guess the spin-off other
yeah,
than Ballerina.
it was kind of implied, I guess, that he gets killed, but I didn't think I don't think he gets killed. That there's like a whole action scene that would unfold from there.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm cutting some slack to Donnie Yen. I didn't mean to say like I liked him the least. I think that spot is reserved for Akira, if I'm being honest. I didn't like that storyline.
Oh, okay.
Because Donnie Yen goes up against these foes. He ends up killing Akira's father, right? His friend, and then he moves on to another character that he has to fight. And I feel like there he gets. I agree with you. At the start, I didn't really enjoy him as much, and then I guess pretty early on when he has to that whole back and forth of like, well, I don't really want to kill you, but like honor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To me, that was like, I don't know. I get why it's happening, but I feel like it's so annoying annoying to see. And then the fight between him and John Wick was better in a sense because both of them don't really want to kill each other, and the back and forth that is somewhat comedic, like "Are you dead yet?" or whatever, isn't as comedic, in because they really don't want to do it. So then it becomes more believable that like John is also holding back in a sense. He doesn't want to kill him or maybe get away with like playing dead or whatever, and it just doesn't work out. And by the end of it, the stair fight, I think to me is also the highlight of the whole film. It's also like really funny the way like people just come comedic like our theater. I watched it at a preview press screening, and even the press people, which usually tend to be really silent when even in comedies, were like laughing pretty hysterically at like that final thing where like people just keep tumbling down. It's actually so funny. And he's great in that. Like them working together really works great. And I feel like it's also like harder for his character who's just like going off reflexes to differentiate between where's John Wick and where's his enemies.
Mm.
So them calling it out, I think that was a great tag team. And then yeah, him ending up there. I would have liked to see a happy ending for him, but I guess they said that early on that now Akira is coming after him, and yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I guess that's one way to continue the series in a sense. And then she kills him, and then the daughter maybe becomes an assassin, and then they fight against each other. It's like, no,
Yeah,
man,
it's never ending, eh?
it's no
Look, out of
cycle of
all of
violence.
the new characters that got introduced this film,
Hmm.
uh, Kane is probably the best one.
Yeah,
Uh, Skarsgård's character
is a
was
bit of a
there,
bitch.
but obviously he's the
Yeah,
villain, so he's meant to be let go.
yeah,
Um, the tracker, I mean,
yeah. What do
again,
you
just another
make? What do you
character
make of the
that,
tracker? Yeah,
well, obviously we needed to get more dogs. Parabellum
exactly,
introduced two
exactly.
of the greatest characters in the John Wick universe, and that's
Hmm.
two like German shepherds. I think they were
Hmm.
German shepherds.
I think so. Yeah,
Having the time of their lives, like the action sequences of the dogs was so much fun. I think
yeah,
that was the highlight of Parabellum. To have another dog in the film, it's a again a double edged blade, I guess, because
hmm,
I enjoy watching dogs in these action scenes. But if the dog gets hurt, I fucking hate that character that hurt him. And
yeah,
guess what? There's a character that throws a dog against the car. The dog doesn't get injured or die. That's great.
yeah,
But it makes me hate that character even more. So well
yeah,
done, because it
hmm,
made me hate you even more. Uh, but the
yeah.
tracker himself, I guess, was an interesting character because he obviously was interested in taking the contract against John,
Hmm.
but John at a point saves his dog because he has a flashback, I guess, to his dog being killed,
It's a bit
and
of
he
a
stops the tracker
Batman.
going on the same journey.
Yeah, it's a bit of a like Martha Batman v Superman moment. It's like I have
Yeah,
dog,
yeah.
dog good. I can't kill
But
person with
dog
dog.
good, yeah. But like I can't fault that moment because it, the tracker is obviously he's flowing between wanting to kill John and wanting to
Hmm.
protect John because he wants to keep John around to get a higher bounty
Yeah,
reward, but he doesn't want to kill him when he gets told to kill him because, he's also fighting for a reason that's quite honorable, I guess. So the tracker has a weird place in this
But because
in this
he was,
film,
yeah,
he's
because
almost like a Deus Ex Machina.
yeah,
We
he
can't let
is, yeah,
John die. Shoot him. Like that's
exactly.
what the tracker is.
And I think also he's a younger character, and you can see those people already affected by the high table, and he's not really fully
Mm,
sucked into the world yet, and he's basically at a crossroads where he has to decide, does he work for the high table, and he feels like he has more control over what he actually does, and basically, selling his whole life away like Donnie Yen. You have no control after, and even someone like John Wick who gets out, which now I'm like wondering, how did John Wick get out before? I don't know. I
what did he
guess,
have to do? Yeah.
yeah. Well, I guess they
Well, I mean,
imply
they
it in the
say it. How
first
many?
one.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But they also say it's like, how many did you have to kill to get out? And he's like, a
Mhm.
lot. So
Yeah.
obviously he did a little to do that.
He
But
did that for
I
the
guess he
Russian mafia
also
guys in the first one. Yeah.
the interesting thing about the tracker is the naivety of him. You said it
Yeah.
with like what he has to do with the high table. You
Mhm.
know, there's the scene where he is talking to the marquis, and
I was like,
Donnie Yen is also in the same scene, and he's like,
yeah.
"Hey, just think before you say yes."
Mhm.
And we know that because he has taken a deal, and he's probably done deals in the past with a
Yeah.
similar character. And Kane and John will both know this. You don't trust anyone, and the tracker
Mhm.
takes the deal, but he ends up having to do this really hardcore scene that they don't cut away from, and that's very bold, where he has to rip his hand
Yeah.
out of a knife. And
I
man, that was
That
ooh,
was a tough.
that's a
Yeah,
bit
that
of
was
a
tough.
hair sticking up scene, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
you feel uncomfortable watching that.
Mhm. Exactly, and well, I think he's another actor that's great. Shamir Anderson has done a lot of like more indie work. I think overall, I've seen him in a movie on Disney Plus the other week. That's called Bruiser. He was great in it there, and he gets some solid action. He gets to be around the whole time, and
Mm.
just like shoot, and I guess just have a good time with him and his dog. I didn't really love the marquee. I think Bill Skarsgård is an incredible actor, but I think he was made out to be this pathetic loser character, like that wants to be intimidating and also is intimidating in a sense just because he has power. But I ultimately really enjoyed how he goes, although it is kind of a funny moment where
Yeah.
he wants to be like the killing blow, and he's just too arrogant to see that. Like, I love the who is it at the end who says like,
Mr. Manager.
was it Winston who goes like, "You dumbass, he hasn't shot his
Yeah,
shot yet."
yeah, that was so
That
funny.
was so good. So I like that, and we already talked about the ending of him dying there. Now, what are some of the best moments to you in this? I guess it's just like the easiest thing is just the whole big action set piece. But was there like specific moments that really stood out to you?
I mean, there's that shot with John uh when we're introduced to him at the Osaka hotel with that
Yeah,
is it a cherry blossom tree?
yeah,
And I was
yes,
like, "Oh wow, they're doing something here with the cinematography," and it made me
hmm,
realize that they're gonna go hard in making these shots look incredible, with the lighting, especially
yeah,
the lighting in this film. It's harsh. It's especially in the I guess the German rave scene. Like it's
yeah,
just bright lights the entire time. It's not
hmm,
soft. It is hardcore. Hardcore white light. It is
hmm,
very harsh lighting in some scenes, but it's also very sharp lighting in other ones with
hmm,
contrasting colors the entire time. The I guess the best moment for me, have to admit, I really enjoyed that German on the ground fighting scene.
yeah,
Uh, I enjoyed the over the topness of that character uh, playing poker, saying that ever
right,
since the
okay,
beginning they were losing, and he plays a straight five cards, and Kane says, "Let me guess, five straight." Like
yeah,
it's a
royal
fun
flush or
scene,
something like that. Yeah,
and as I said, it's over the top. I
yeah,
As much as I don't enjoy some of these characters, and I do agree the Marquis is a bit of a bitch, uh, and he's a bit of a weak character, he's over the top a bitch. And that's
Yeah.
I don't watch these films for the character development. I don't watch these films for the plot points. I watch these films for the action, and
Yeah.
they are dumb fun, and it's so much fun to watch this film.
Mhm.
So for me, I guess my favorite moment was that, but I also have to admit, I think my favorite moment was that opening fight scene in Osaka where John, Akira, or they all go their separate ways, and John's told to kill as many of them as he can, and
Yeah.
it's a 30-minute fight scene, and you get physically tired from watching it,
Yeah, yeah.
and John gets physically tired from watching it, and I think that made me realize that they had found a point in the John Wick series where they could do so much action to make you tired, to show that John is tired, and it's
Mhm.
a perfect wrap up of the series. So for me, I think that is the standout moment that they figured out how to make action scenes tiring so that you feel tired and that John feels tired. And again, it all just works so well in that opening moment. So for me, that's the best moment
Yeah.
of John Wick 4 by far.
Yeah, it has some incredibly good moments. I think a lot of people are gonna really enjoy that like top-down look that they do in I think it's Berlin or maybe it's later on in
Yeah,
Paris.
that is sick.
I think it no, it's
Yeah.
Paris. I
And
think it's
the
Paris later on.
shotgun off. I forgot the shotgun. That
Yeah.
was so much fun. The fire shotgun. Ah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was
That's a
also
crazy
really
one as
good.
well. There was really a lot of like showcases, and I mean the Arc de Triomphe, or is it? No, I think it's Arc de Triomphe where they like go around in the circle thing, the big six-laned what is it called? Roundabout. Um,
Roundabout, yeah.
and I like the first part when they're in the car at the start of it, where he like loses both of the doors to the car and like crashes them with the people. Like he doesn't have a gun or he needs to reload, and the other one's like reloading and he has to crash into them.
Mm,
There's a lot of great stunt coordination there, and then the fight I think gets a bit messy in a sense of like the cars just keep going, and it's basically another like Deus Ex Machina thing of like people just get run over. But I like in the series
yeah.
that John also gets run over. It's not just the enemies. He continuously, like in 2 and 3 as well, gets like hit by cars, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a really strong
I
outing.
felt that the start of that scene with the car was a bit of an homage to the first film regarding a car, and I felt like
Uh
that's the beginning of his like final triumph into the fight.
yeah.
With
I
it
think the
kind of
best
going
like
back through
yeah.
the previous films.
I think the start of the second one is where he's in the car. He gets his car back, right?
Yeah.
And there's that one scene where he's like crashed into, and then the door he is broken off, and he like is the stunt is crazy. How like he gets flinged out of the car. He just like
Mm.
gets pushed out. I was waiting for like a similar moment in this, but I guess it didn't do it. It's on a smaller scale. I prefer that like scene in 2 over this in 4, but it's just on a completely different level again. And then I think that the lighting in the Osaka showroom that they like you establish the scene early on where they walk through it and you get to appreciate the production design, and then they return to it to just completely destroy it. I think that's not like it's not a highlight for all of the different branches in filmmaking, like the art direction and
Mm.
the production design gets to shine here. You get a lot of like great stunts, obviously, and the cinematography is highlighted. I feel like everyone gets to shine, and for that, it is commendable. I think maybe we'll talk about that in a second as well. It's like stunts being underappreciated in a sense as well in Hollywood, and only the Screen Actors Guild basically. Well, I guess I'm getting to it right now, but the Screen Actors Guild does have an award in TV and movies to give out an award for best stunt ensemble. Um, and the Oscars don't have that yet. It's like the last major branch who does not have an Oscar category, and I feel like it's gonna come up in the conversation again this year, especially with this film. Dune will have a bunch of action in it, and I'm sure there'll be some other Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. So hopefully this conversation gets accelerated to a point where these people get their due, because it incentivizes uh, more great action, I guess, to be put into movies. And it also would
I
solve
just
kind
think
of
that
a yeah,
there's just been such a low period of good action for a while. There
right,
has been no reason to praise action when most of it had been digitally enhanced. Where I say digitally enhanced, John Wick still has a lot of CG in it that
yeah,
enhances the scene. But you can see that in films, and you said great example like Mission Impossible. There's something different about those scenes, and it's the same with John Wick that it feels raw, it feels authentic, that it's just CGI enhancing what has already been captured in camera, not capturing something in camera and then sending it to the, visual effects team to create a scene from that.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
and I think that's
yeah.
where the argument comes in for a a stunt category at the Oscars because this kind of film should win.
I mean, also just last year with Avatar, you got like a lot of stunts with the underwater filming. That like
Mm.
essentially it's all of the dangerous stuff that happens and the safety precautions where the stunt people come in and do all of that essential work that I guess it would go more to like the superhero movies that would get nominated, but I feel like that would just be a win overall for the Oscars as well, for like something that they've feared for a long time to I guess become more and more irrelevant and people not caring about them as much to be
Maybe
included.
Jamie Lee Curtis could have got a second Oscar for being wired up in Everything Everywhere All at Once for Best Action,
Best hot dog flicking, hot dog finger
Best
flicking.
Hot Dog Flicking.
Yeah. And
It's
yet another award
yeah,
that I mean, Everything Everywhere this year probably would have gotten, right? Other than maybe Top
Best
Gun,
Action.
because the
Oh,
action,
you actually, yeah, Top Gun could have gotten, but I mean, it depends what they categorize as action.
yeah.
Maybe it's just like captured in camera action, not CGI action. But then again, if we're going to do that, we can't have MCU films come in there because
I don't
most of
think
the
no.
action
I
in
think it
that
would
would have
just
been
be stunts overall. I don't think that the CGI thing would affect that in the slightest. Because what
what
you mean
counts as
is
a
like when
stunt
we get a
then?
full body replacement, right? That does like then the action in a sense,
Yeah,
right?
because as you said, visual effects action, stunt action. What counts as a stunt? Is it something physically done?
Yeah. Well, no,
Yeah.
I think the Oscar expert Cole had a great video about this like the other day that he made about why it should be added. And he I think what he proposes is that it's called stunt design, not stunt performance or whatever, because it is an art form in itself with the
Okay,
stunt
sure.
coordinator and the director to direct it, and it's like a separate part of I guess the stunts. And then it would kind of be carried over into when there's a CGI effect. It's still extending the stunt thing. So it would still
Yeah.
be part of the this, although it is an overlap with
Sure.
the
If it's
VFX and
stunt
whatever.
direction, then that's fair. If it's stunt
Yeah,
direction,
stunt
that
direction
is
or stunt
a
design, yeah,
yeah.
something like
If
that.
it's
Yeah,
just best stunt, I'm thinking actual stunts done in a film, not the visual
the Tom
side, the
Cruise
visual
award.
effects side. But if it's
Yeah,
best stunt direction, then yeah, I guess.
I think best stunt would also be so limiting in a sense that it's like also to one person and one stunt or one character, and the stunt design would be more overall for the branch. And one of the issues being is that like what the Academy has used so far for not including it is like there's like about 35 members in the Academy at the moment that are stunt people, and the smallest branch otherwise is like one of the production design or whatever with like
Mm,
130 members, and they're like, well, there's just not enough people around to vote for this to have its own branches. Like, well, add a bunch of people. There's more than enough talented people
yeah.
working in stunts. So I feel like this is an easily fixable problem. It's also not the biggest thing. You still get these movies. They don't need an award. It would just be nice for just them to be acknowledged and appreciated overall, because at the end of the day that's what these awards should be for, at least for the consumer, not for
Yeah.
the industry within. um we talked
The
about
other
this in
thing as
the
well,
yep,
just
yep,
quickly,
yeah, yeah,
before we move on about stunt category, is that if it does get into the Oscars, it would have definitely gotten films an Oscar nomination when they didn't get one. I think two that
yeah.
stand out for fairly recently that were great action. Bullet Train, not
Mm,
nominated for anything, and I felt that out of everything, the action in that was the best part, but there was
Yeah.
nothing else there. Another great one, less so, but I thought that the action was really good. The Gray Man from Netflix. That
Right.
should have gotten something for the action, but now I think of it,
Eh,
most of that action was digitally enhanced on a green screen,
yeah.
and I felt that that could be these films that we had a lot of fun with that sure weren't breathtaking like the John Wick films. They're not the most, as I said, emotionally hard hitting films. But has any John Wick film been nominated for an Oscar?
I don't think they have. The only thing I could see is with the third one being for cinematography. Let's actually check real
Yeah,
quick. Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films in 2019 for the third one. And it was a nominee for the Art Directors Guild.
yeah.
But yeah, nothing with. It's surprising to me that I'm not even seeing the. Wait, this is baffling. Wait, why not for SAG, the Screen Actors Guild? Why didn't they get? They should have probably won like those stunt categories. Or were they not implemented yet? Would be crazy if like John Wick doesn't get like a nomination in the stunt department for the movies. Well, anyways, it's
Mm.
that's a bit of a tangent there.
But like, if I'm totally honest, out of anything that the stunt direction category could bring to the Oscars, it's just an acknowledgement of films that didn't have anything crazy going for it, but
Mhm.
wanted to entertain you with action. And I think The
Yeah,
Gray Man is a perfect example of that, and so would Bullet Train. That's another great
it
example.
would
That
be.
should get some sort of
It
nomination.
would be very funny if, like, the usually like how the Oscars work is like in the specific branches they end up making the nominees, but then the whole
Mm,
Academy votes on the winners, right? Well, I guess
yep.
that wouldn't happen with the nominations, but it would be very funny if like something that is more Best Picture esque then wins, although it has clearly the worst stunts in it. Just
Yeah.
because like people don't bother to watch those other films. That would be very Oscar like, but yeah, I guess in recent years there have been some changes. We've been talking about the Oscars way too much. They've gotten way too much publicity from this. But I think, lastly, that this movie, by the end of the year, I'm sure of it, does deserve a cinematography nomination. And there's no stunts
Does.
that come anytime soon. So I think that's the one where it really shines. I think even if you don't really love the screenplay like I did, the stunts were great, but also had not didn't work for me the whole time in like in the story sense. The cinematography is amazing from beginning to end, and I feel like it's a visual spectacle for that alone. A reason enough to stay for 3 hours and just to watch the movie, in my opinion. Lachlan, you have anything else to add?
I don't think I do have anything else to add. I think I've said my piece pretty much
Yes.
thoroughly that it's nothing deep, but it's very, very good action. And
Yep.
as I said, that tweet that I made earlier today, that what John Wick has done for action scenes, and honestly, I said John Wick 4 in the tweet, but I could probably just say John Wick in general. What John Wick has done for action scenes is what Top Gun did for flight scenes. It
Mhm.
is phenomenal to see hand to hand action done so well. But
Yeah.
that's what you get when you have a stunt coordinator turned director. He's gonna want to make it actiony. He's gonna make it want it fun. He's going to make it. He's going to want to make it fun. I said that sentence terribly, but hey, what can I say? I
Yep.
got blown away by the phenomenal John Wick 4.
I guess someone who we haven't talked about at all, and there was a really tragic passing of Lance Reddick. He's also in the film, and then he also gets killed in the film early on. It's a bit of like a setting up, I guess, for the overall story to escalate further. That like it's supposed to establish Bill Skarsgård's character as like a threat in a sense because these characters have been like Lawrence Fishburne as well has been like cut up and so far the hotel director or whatever he's been left pretty unscathed similar to the not receptionist what's his name he's got like a more fancy name to himself.
Okay. So his name is Charon,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he is based on mythology of the ferryman. Anyway, I don't want to get into
Oh,
it.
okay. I
But
didn't even
one
know
thing I
that.
do want to get into,
Yeah.
one thing I really want to get, because obviously they
Hmm.
give him the gold to get safe passage to what
Yeah.
That's the reference that they make with the gold coin.
Right.
Um, from my knowledge, it's pronounced Quran, it's
Mm.
CH, but it's
Yeah.
K. That's how you pronounce it.
Mm.
And the only thing that shit me in the entire film is that Winston says Sharon, like Sharon,
Yeah.
like Sharon, like that annoys me. Like Sharon Osbourne. It's not Sharon Osbourne.
Yeah.
It's Caron. And that really pissed me off. That's the only thing I have to hate about this film, and that really annoyed me.
Well,
But hey, what can
now
I can't say I'm not going to say anything else about the film bad because everything else was great, but that really annoyed
it's
me.
turning De Niro in this. Okay. So being
Oh
that
yeah, I
being
did
that being the only thing you hated, where did you arrive at as a rating for chapter 4?
So I did a sneaky thing on Letterboxd, and I didn't put a review because I didn't want you to have any presumptions on how I was going to react to it, Ewan.
Yeah, because I definitely didn't check at all what you rated it. I would
Excellent.
never. Mm-hmm.
So, Ewan,
Yeah.
so far in 2023, I
I
have
see where this is
been
going.
pretty positive with some films,
Ah, okay.
but
But
I have I've had to hold myself back
Mhm.
on films with what I've been giving it. So,
Yeah.
uh, this film, John Wick 4, very similar to only one other film that I can say so far this year that I have given a 5-star to. I'm giving. Oh, I'm getting choked up. Hang on. Oh, one sec.
Okay. Take your time. Damn. 5-star rating. Jesus.
Because it was such an emotional ending. No, I'm fucking with you. I'm giving John Wick 4 5 stars.
Okay.
For
Wow.
being great action,
Mhm.
so much fun, and at least in my eyes, a great conclusion to the John Wick saga. And also having it open enough and in introducing some characters that we could see pop up, whether it be in a prequel, sequel, etc., etc. John Wick 4 is getting 5 stars. And I'm gonna have to rewatch it, but right now I'm saying it's my favorite John Wick film.
Oh my god, interesting. Okay. Well, I'm going. We didn't have a fight just yet because I also appreciate the other ones. I hold them to a really high standard. Rewatched them. It was like John Wick 4 got a 4. John Wick 1 got a 4-star. 2 got a 4.5, and I bumped my rating up for free to a 5-star just because it was so fun. I think I need to revisit the fourth one because I watched it where like it was an early screening and I didn't sleep the night before. So maybe I was really cranky and not really patient and already tired before we even started fighting. As you said, the fight scenes do get tiring and we feel that. I I gave it like a 3 out of 10, not a 3 out of 10, a 6 out of 10 at the start. I think I'm bumping it up to a 7. It is now to me closer to an 8 than a 7. Talking about it, there's just a lot of stuff to be appreciate, and it's one of the highest rated films of the year for me so far. You said it's the second 5-star for you that you've given to a 2023 movie or to a film overall in 2023.
To a film that I've given a review to in 2023. The other one was
Okay.
After Sun. That's obviously from last year, but
Yes.
it's the first 2023 movie that I have given a 5-star to. Now there is a number of films that come out in 2023. Oh, what are you doing? He's getting the poster. Man, you love Paul Mescal so much that you have a poster of him. There's a lot of films that come out so far for the rest of 2023 that I could possibly give more 5 stars to.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the films. Sorry, now you got your headphones back on. I'm just talking about the
Yep.
films that I could possibly give 5 stars to that I'm yet to see
Mhm.
this year because obviously they haven't come out yet.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head,
Dune.
I'm thinking Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
What else could be coming out? What else is coming out this year?
Disappointment
That could
Boulevard.
be a 5-star.
Ariastas.
Disappointment Boulevard,
it's not-
Ariastas, yeah.
Bo is afraid to say.
The Barbie movie.
Mhm.
That's a possible Asteroid City if it comes out this year. A Wes Anderson
I think it
film,
does.
which
It's likely
if
to
I'm-
come to Cannes, actually, so we might even get to see that early.
I might lose my mind if I see a Wes Anderson film at Cannes. I
I'm
think
looking
I might
forward
lose
to
my
it.
mind.
I'll hold your hands.
Uh,
We can sit next to each
Killers
other.
of the Flower Moon this
Yeah.
year, most
Hmm.
likely as
Maybe also
well.
come. Yeah.
Like maybe also can.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of films that could be some five bombers this year
Yeah.
that really pop off.
Mhm.
Those are just some of them.
Yeah.
Aquaman. Sorry, shit, I need to stop making
Is that
jokes.
this year?
I
The
really,
Flash,
I peaked.
Blue
I peaked
Beetle,
Flash. I
everything in
peaked
the
at
DCU.
saying that Barbie was going to be a
Yeah.
5 star. We don't know
It's
what else could be coming out that could be a 5 star.
yeah. I think one of the films that could be it for me is How Do You Live from Hayao Miyazaki. His
Yep.
potentially last his potentially last film. And then there was another one that I'm blanking on right now. Oh yeah, Past Lives, the one that premiered at Sundance, seems to be really up my alley. Another A24 film. But yeah, so far I think this is like the second highest rated film I've had of 2023, which is surprising to me. I thought I liked I've had liked the year so far more, but like my currently highest rated one is like a 4 star for Infinity Pool. Um, but yeah, some solid some solid films so far that have come out, but more to come. And I'm landing on a 3.5 out of 5 for John Wick. Chapter 4, we can both wholeheartedly shout it out. It's a cinematic experience that I think is best experienced in the theater on the biggest screen, especially on the best sound system as well possible, because it does have like a lot of great design
Yeah.
and just like a coming together of all of the different branches, making the movie the best it could be for an action film.